Ever get to the end of a super busy day, look back, and just wonder what you actually got done? Yeah, you're not the only one. Today, we're going to crack open Cal Newport's amazing book, Deep Work, to find the secret to staying focused in a world that's trying its best to distract us.
You know, we're kind of obsessed with being busy, right? A full inbox, a calendar packed with back-to-back meetings. It's almost like a badge of honor. But here's the crazy thing. All that activity can be a trap. We feel like we're being super productive, but a lot of the time we're just spinning our wheels on stuff that doesn't really matter.
So what's the real problem here? Well, Newport has a name for it: shallow work. Just think about all those little things that fill up our day. You know, firing off emails, setting up meetings, scrolling and posting on social media. It's all the stuff you can do while you're kind of distracted, maybe with a podcast on in the background. It feels like you're working, but it's not creating anything truly new or valuable.
And believe me, this shallow work has a very real price tag. There's this great story about Tom Cochran, a tech exec in Atlantic Media. He actually did the math, and he found out his company was spending over $1 million a year. Yeah, $1 million. Just on the time employees spent processing internal emails. $1 million on something we all think of as free.
Okay, so if this shallow work is so expensive and doesn't really get us anywhere, why is it literally everywhere? Newport calls this the metric black hole. Here's the thing. For most of us knowledge workers, it's super hard to put a number on the cost of distraction. And it's just as hard to measure the real value of intense focus. And because you can't measure it, this low-value, busy work just keeps creeping in, filling up every spare minute of our day.
But there is a better way, a really powerful alternative. It's a way to get your focus back and do work that actually makes a difference. You can even call it the superpower of our time. And it's called deep work.
So what exactly is deep work? Well, it's the total opposite of shallow work. It's when you're completely in the zone, zero distractions, pushing your brain to its absolute limit. This is the state where you learn really tough stuff fast, where you solve those big, hairy problems, and where you produce top-tier work. And in our distracted world, this skill is getting rarer and rarer, which makes it more valuable than ever.
Let's just put these two side by side, so it's crystal clear. On one hand, you've got deep work. It creates brand new value, it makes you better at what you do, and it's really hard for someone else to just copy it. Then you've got shallow work. It pretty much just keeps things running, anyone can do it, and you're usually doing it while multitasking. So just take a quick look and be honest with yourself. Where are you spending most of your time? And hey, this idea isn't new at all. The famous psychiatrist Carl Jung, for example, he literally built a stone tower for himself. No electricity, nothing, just so he could have a place to do his work without interruptions. He'd lock himself away for 2 hours every single morning in total, focused silence. He knew that to create his groundbreaking work, he had to go deep.
And for a more modern example, get this. Newport tells the story of an MIT professor who won a MacArthur Genius Grant. This guy was famously impossible to get a hold of. No Twitter, took forever to answer emails, and you know why? Because his big thing was to spend hours just staring at a whiteboard, completely lost in a single problem. The result of all that focus? He published 16 academic papers in 1 year. Just wow.
And it goes back even further. Just look at Charles Darwin's daily routine when he was writing On the Origin of Species. He had just 2 focused work sessions in the morning with a break in between. That's it. He totally got that incredible work isn't about grinding for more hours, it's about the depth of those hours. And yeah, you're seeing that right. His workday was pretty much done by noon.
All right, so the why is pretty clear, but the big question is how. How do we actually pull this off in a world that feels like it's designed to pull our attention in a million different directions? Well, Newport lays out some really practical rules. Let's dig into 3 of the biggest ones.
Okay, rule number 1, and this is absolutely crucial: schedule your focus. Deep work isn't something that just happens when you feel like it. You have to be deliberate. The idea here is to actually block off time in your calendar for deep work, and then you have to protect that time like it's the most important meeting of your day, because it is.
This reminds me of that classic Jerry Seinfeld productivity trick. When he wanted to become a better comedian, he made a simple rule: write jokes every single day, no exceptions. He got a big wall calendar, and every day he did it, he'd draw a big red X. After a few days, you start to see a chain. And as Seinfeld said, your only job next is to not break the chain. That's the whole idea, building that consistent, visible rhythm.
Next up, rule number 2, execute like a business. It's one thing to say, I'm going to do more deep work. It's another thing to actually do it. So you have to treat it like a real project. That means tracking your deep work hours, maybe even keeping a scoreboard for yourself. It creates a sense of accountability and shows you if you're actually making progress.
And now for my favorite rule, and it's probably the most surprising one of all. Be lazy. Seriously, Newport makes this amazing point that downtime isn't a bug, it's a feature. Regular breaks and just doing nothing. That's what recharges the mental batteries you need for intense focus. Plus, it gives your subconscious mind a chance to chew on those really tough problems. It's why your best ideas pop into your head in the shower, right? Not when you're staring at a spreadsheet. To have those big breakthroughs, you have to be willing to step away.
So, at the end of the day, what's this all for? What's the real payoff? Well, getting into deep work isn't just about cranking out more stuff. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with your work and in the process, building a career that's way more meaningful and satisfying.
See, when you consistently put in that deep, focused effort, something really cool happens. Your work stops being just a list of tasks to check off. It turns into a craft, something you can take pride in and get better at. And that feeling, that sense of craftsmanship, gives you a kind of professional satisfaction that just clearing your inbox never, ever will.
Newport even talks about this wild architectural concept called the eudaimonia machine. Imagine a building that's specifically designed to guide you from a state of total distraction into a state of perfect focus. You literally walk through different rooms, a gallery for inspiration, a salon for debate, a library for research, before you finally get to the deep work chambers. These are soundproof rooms built for absolute total concentration. It's like a physical blueprint for the ideal deep work process.
And really, this whole philosophy gets summed up perfectly in this quote from science writer Winifred Gallagher. "All live the focused life because it's the best kind there is." The whole point isn't to become some kind of productivity machine. It's about making a choice to control your attention, and by doing that, you shape your whole reality and build a much richer, more meaningful life.
So that really just leaves us with one final question for you. In this world that's constantly pulling at your attention, what amazing thing is waiting inside of you? What could you create? What problem could you solve if you just gave yourself the space and the permission to truly focus without interruption?